Greetings and salutations. Welcome to this Prophetic Insights, where we analyze current events as they are fulfilling Bible prophecies. Safe to Serve International, first-time viewers, welcome one, welcome all to this Prophetic Insights. Now, friends, let's get right into it. Today, we are on the move for the Lord. And almost I was not able to present the content of this presentation. But by God's grace, the sacrifice was made. At this point, I'm recording about 30 minutes before 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So by God's grace, I'm going to be able to premiere this presentation and by God's grace, get on the road. Brothers and sisters, on yesterday, we focus on two primary dates. We focus on 9/11, September 11th, and we also focus on 3/11, March 11th, two great events. And we saw that on September 11th, 9/11, the towers in New York City fell. We're not getting into the reasons, but we know those buildings came tumbling down in New York City on September 11th, 2001. And brothers and sisters, now we're seeing that there was a great report announcement that was made on 3/11, March 11th, 2020, the announcement of the pestilence 19. And ever since, God's people have found themselves in an emergency. And shortly thereafter, September 11th, 9/11, there was an announcement by the then president, a war on terror, a war on terrorism, a war on terrorists, brothers and sisters. And now, since 3/11, now we are seeing, just recently, September 9th, September 10th, there was an announcement by the present president stating that there is now a war, not just on pestilence 19, but a war on individuals who oppose and refuse to receive the pestilence 19 panacea. Does that also include God's remnant people, God's commandment-keeping people who believe in Bible religion and Bible health reform? Yes. So as a result, brothers and sisters, from 3/11 to 9/11, and I covered this also, went into more details on yesterday during that Sabbath message, and I promised I would return today to cover more salient points. And friends, here we are by God's grace. Now watch. On yesterday, I said that God's people, remnant people, who oppose the pestilence 19 magic bullet are going to be labeled as terrorists. And brothers and sisters, here it is. Look at the screen, my friends. Where's my date? Look at the screen. Headline. This was on Fox News, and it was carried on MSNBC. Look at that, brothers and sisters. It states that those who oppose the pestilence 19 panacea are to be labeled as bioterrorists. Yes, brothers and sisters. They are to be labeled as the American Taliban. It's right there, brothers and sisters, on the screen. There it is. And they should be treated as such. Look at the tagline below the headline. Frank Schaeffer also called pro-lifers by terrorists, bioterrorists, who are against the pestilence 19 inoculation. That's it, brothers and sisters. I told you it was coming. And brothers and sisters, when you look at scriptures, you need to understand that even Jesus Christ was labeled not as an American Taliban, but as a Jewish Taliban. Why do I say that? Today we label Taliban as extremists, those who destroy lives. They are a threat to society. They even destroy buildings, i.e., for example, September 11th, 9/11, as the media reported. But what happened in Matthew 26 and verse number 61? What false accusation was brought against Christ? They said this man promised that he would destroy the temple. Destroy the temple. So what label did Christ carry by the apostate, abominable, rogue leaders? A Jewish Taliban. And because of his works of miracles and teaching and practicing health reform, they also labeled Christ a bioterrorist. John chapter 11, verse 47 to verse number 53. Brothers and sisters, we are here. And that's why we are told in the last days that God's commandment-keeping people, God's people who believe in Bible health reform and reject Babylon's magic bullet, are going to be labeled as menace to society. What does that mean, by the way? There it is, brothers and sisters. A person that is likely to cause harm, a person that is likely to announce and report threats, as well as is dangerous to society. That's it. Terrorize, terrorists, menace to society. That's it. Look at the quotation, brothers and sisters. Maranatha, page 213. Look at the third sentence, black words underlined. All will be required to render obedience to human edicts. Does that mean mandates? In violation of God's divine law. God's law entails worship and health from top, but Satan numbers the world as his subjects. But here is a little company that are resisting his supremacy. If he could blot them from the earth, his triumph would be complete. All will be required to render obedience to human edicts in violation of the divine law. Those who will be true to God and to duty will be menaced. There's your word. Denounced and proscribed. Brothers and sisters, our only hope is going to be in the mercy of God. Our only defense is going to be prayer. Why will we be menaced? Because we are going to be viewed as menace to society. Look at this, brothers and sisters. Great controversy. Page 234 and page 235. I'm going to close on this quote later on. It says, throughout Christendom, Protestantism was menaced, there's your word, by formidable foes. At this time, the order of the Jesuits was created. To combat Protestantism, Jesuitism inspired its followers with a fanaticism, and it goes on, the quote says, my friends, Protestantism, that stands for liberty of conscience, civil liberty, religious liberty, we are told in history, was menaced by Jesuitism. Why? Because Jesuitism, Jesuits, Roman Catholic hierarchy, their leaders feared Protestantism and feared Bible Protestants. They were viewed, the Protestants, as menace to society. As it was then, so it is today. Labeling God's people as bioterrorists. Terrorists, they say, bring anarchy. All right, great controversy. Page 592. Look at the principle. Those who honor the Bible Sabbath will be denounced as enemies of law and order, as breaking down the moral restraints of society, causing anarchy. All right, there's your term. And corruption, and calling down the judgments of God upon the earth. Notice the next sentence. Their conscientious scruples will be pronounced obstinacy, stubbornness, and contempt of authority. What does that sentence mean? Those who stand for liberty of conscience will be denounced as obstinate, rebellious. That's it. Stubborn people. Those people are a menace to our society. That's it, brothers and sisters. Are these points clear? All right. Am I ready? Are you ready? I'm going to segue into another segment. Brothers and sisters, there's a prophecy, both in the Bible and spirit of prophecy. That's Revelation chapter 13, verse number 11 and verse number 12. The Bible tells us that both religious liberty and civil liberty in America will be trampled underfoot, and we are going to be forced to worship, forced to live against the dictates of our conscience. Well, Volume 5, Testimonies for the Church, page 451 says, we can expect in the United States of America that every, red words in the middle, every principle of the U.S. Constitution shall be repudiated. That's it. Protestantism shall be trampled underfoot. Republicanism shall be trampled underfoot. Have we come to this point? Every principle of the U.S. Constitution of freedom, liberty. Have we come to this point? Well, friends, there are several things I could show to confirm the aforementioned point. I'm going to give you one. Look at the Fourth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. I'll read. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated. All right, friends. And no warrants shall issue but upon probable cause. All right, my friends, watch this. Fresh off the press. Are you ready for this, my friends? Notice. This is September 10th, 2021. Headline reads, why are they snooping on an average Joe over a $600 payment? What does that mean, brothers and sisters? Look at this carefully. Another article, it states, Biden's total financial surveillance. We have come to a total financial surveillance dystopia. Yes, brothers and sisters, notice, imagine living in a world where every one of your non-cash financial transactions was automatically reported to a beefed up, audit-hungry IRS. That dystopia will become a reality if President Biden gets his way. Next, all business and personal accounts from financial institutions, including bank, loan, and investment accounts, would be forced to report gross inflows and outflows to the IRS, not just bank accounts. No, the dragnet would now include PayPal, settlement companies, and crypto asset exchanges. Just for starters, it says the Biden administration and the Treasury Secretary, Mrs. Yellen, and it goes on, are pushing a vast, intrusive financial surveillance system in the name of closing the tax gap. But don't worry, they say, don't worry. There's no need to fear if you have got nothing to hide. Brothers and sisters, let me just say it this way. The Bible tells us that even if this does not come to fruition, because Congress has to approve it, but the mere fact it has been conceptualized, the mere fact it has been put on paper, the damage has already been done. From a biblical perspective, sin begins in the thoughts the mind when lust is conceived. James 1, 13 through 15. It bringeth forth sin. And when sin is finished with you, it bringeth forth death. And the Bible says in Matthew 12, verse 34, verse 35, verse 36, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Proverbs 23, verse 7, the Bible says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And friends, I believe this total financial surveillance dystopia is actually fulfilling Revelation 13, verse 15 through verse 17. In order for the mark of the beast to be enforced, Sunday worship by law, with persecution upon dissenters, God's commandment, Sabbath-keeping people, there has to be a draconian economic system established. Are we here? Now, they will label this dystopian system as a regime. Look at this, brothers and sisters. The administration's proposed comprehensive financial account reporting regime would dramatically increase the types of financial institutions and transactions exposed to the Fed's prying eyes. A regime? What came to my mind, brothers and sisters, is Luke 21, verse 20 through verse 22. When you shall see Jerusalem surrounded with armies, regime, armies, no, don't guess, no, the end is nigh. Listen to this, brothers and sisters. Listen.
The Internal Revenue Service reportedly looking to close the tax gap by getting more information from banks about you, their customers. IRS Commissioner Charles Rettig telling Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren if banks were to report basic information on withdrawals, deposits, and other data, it would help in recovering billions of dollars in lost revenue. Joining me right now is the Florida Bankers Association CEO, Alex Sanchez. Alex, it's great to have you this morning. I know that the FBA is concerned about this new development. Tell us where we are on this.
Good morning, Maria. Thanks for having me on. Maria, let me just simply say, this will kill our community banks and hurt our regional banks in our country.
It will what? Do you see what's coming, brothers and sisters? Let's continue.
Who are the main providers of capital for small businesses. While community banks only have 20% of market share, they give 50% of small business loans in our entrepreneurial society to small businesses where half of Americans work. Having every American data sent to the IRS for every $600 withdrawal, deposit, moving in accounts. It's unbelievably ridiculous, Maria. There are more efficient ways to do this.
I believe that some of this is already going on. It's just being put on paper in order to be voted on. And if it does not pass, brothers and sisters, what has been happening covertly is going to continue. Let me segue. Notice. All right, friends, look at the screen. Things are going to become more difficult for God's commandment-keeping people. We are not only going to be locked down, but locked out. It's going on in Guyana. And by the way, we should desire to be locked out from Babylon because God's people should not be connected to Babylon. Revelation 18, verse 1 through verse 4. Notice, brothers and sisters, an economy only for those who accept Babylon's elixir. It's on the screen, brothers and sisters. An inoculation-only economy. Again, not just lock down, but lock out. Listen to this exchange.
And we are not going to have a situation, well, at least not in Victoria, where we lock the whole place down to protect people who won't protect themselves.
Clip 2, listen.
From a situation where to protect the health system, we've got everybody locked down. We're going to move to a situation where to protect the health system, we're going to lock out.
Now, where is this, friends? This is happening in Australia. Australia, notice the headline. Australians, September 9th, Australians shocked after New South Wales health officer says post-lockdown Sydney will be a what, brothers and sisters? A new world order. Understand this in the context of trampling upon individuals' liberty of conscience in the area of health, in the area of finance, banking, buying and selling, in the area of worship. You cannot attend church buildings. They labeled that system the New World Order. Listen to this exchange, brothers and sisters. Watch, listen.
Will exposure signs be put back in place, especially with reopening and people going back to pubs and stuff? Because are exposure sites still, will they be put back in place to be listed once we are reopening? Because they're not at the moment.
We will be looking at what contact tracing looks like in the New World Order.
Will exposure sites be put back in place, especially with reopening and people going back to pubs and stuff? Because are exposure sites still, will they be put back in place to be listed once we are reopening? Because they're not at the moment.
We will be looking at what contact tracing looks like in the New World Order.
Brothers and sisters, and if it were just one individual making such statement, we could simply say, you know what, they're using the term loosely, flippantly. But brothers and sisters, this is a second witness. Notice, again, New South Wales, Australia, New Zealand. Listen.
This is a world pandemic. It's a 1 in 100 year event. So you can expect that we will have transmission from time to time, and that's just the way it is. We've got to accept that this is the New World Order. We've got to accept that this is the New World Order. The New World Order. The New World Order.
Life can go on as it is. But at the moment, what I'm seeing as Health Minister is a level of apathy, a level of complacency. I understand that, but I'm not happy about it. I'd also say this, the other area of danger is the place that we would normally consider to be the safest place on earth, our homes. You already heard.
Wait. He just, after speaking about the New World Order, he stated that our home is one of the most dangerous places in the New World Order system. Are you telling me that they are going to now put together laws, vote on the laws, enact those laws to remove us from our homes? If this were happening in America, that would be trampling upon the Fourth Amendment. Again, listen. Start it right here. Listen.
Is the place that we would normally consider to be the safest place on earth, our homes. You already heard today that one of, or a number of the people who've actually now got the virus, got it in a home situation. And we'll hear more detail about that in due course. But it is both a safe place and a dangerous place. We must treat this new world order, this new world of COVID, we must treat this new world of COVID, even in our own homes, with a high level of care and caution. Can I ask all, we must treat this new world order with a high level of care and caution.
So are they going to begin to surveil our homes? Brothers and sisters, we see the merchants speaking of a new world order. We hear of politicians, I'll get to some later on, speaking, promoting the new world order. We have just heard health ministers, merchants, bankers, even now religious men. Look at the screen, brothers and sisters. The man of sin calls for what? New world order after the pandemic. All right, brothers and sisters. And what is the new world order connected to? The Pope says the Great Reset. I wish I could say more on that. Notice, friends, the new world order the Pope is calling for and promoting. It is for, watch carefully, brothers and sisters, to eradicate inequalities, care for the poor. There it is, friends, red words, and to attend to the environment. So based on that, what is the new world order? What does it have at its core? Sunday worship by law, brothers and sisters. And notice, Pope urges forming New World economic order for the common good. Common good? What is the common good? You have to give up your individual interests, liberty of conscience. Common good. Notice, friends, this is the merchants of the earth. There they are, friends. Read them. The politicians and the merchants. This is the Bilderberg attendees, Bilderberg meeting. And what are they promoting? The New World Order. The merchants, New World Order, Sunday worship by law, brothers and sisters. And notice, we have come to September 11th, right? The memorial, that was yesterday. Do you know what happened? Not September 11th, where the war on terror began officially, when those buildings fell in New York City. But what happened in the year 1990? You remember Desert Storm? Who was the president at that time? And what did he state? Did he mention New World Order in the context of war and economy? Listen to this, my friends. This is George Herbert Bush. Listen.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance.
We will? That was the Father. And the Son stated, if you are with us, you're saved. You're either with us or you are with those we label as terrorists. Listen, friends.
Our war on terror begins with Al-Qaeda, but it does not end there.
Okay, friends. With whom will it end? I'm going to share with you. The last and final war is going to be launched against Bible-believing Christians, Sabbath-keeping people, true Protestants. Watch this, brothers and sisters. Let me give it a second clip first. Listen.
Every nation in every region now has a decision to make. Either you are with us or you are with the terrorists.
And what did they label Christ in Matthew 26 and verse 61? Terrorist. That's it. The Jewish Taliban and those who follow Christ are going to carry a similar epithet now. Henry Kissinger, the book World Order, he says religious unity had fractured with the survival and spread of Protestantism. Then he wrote, the Protestant Reformation destroyed the concept of a world order sustained by the two swords of papacy and empire. That's it, brothers and sisters. And again, what says Great Controversy? Page 234, it says, Jesuit Roman Catholic leaders view Protestants as a menace to society. Look at that, brothers and sisters. So upon whom will the final war be launched? Upon God's faithful Protestants, commandment-keeping people, Sabbath-keeping people. Brothers and sisters, this is the crisis. Now you have a better understanding of the new world order. And God's true Protestants, commandment-keeping people, are going to be locked out of this new world order. Locked out socially, locked out financially, locked out religiously. You get the point, brothers and sisters. Locked out literally, but praise God, because we don't want to be a part of Babylon's new world order. Country living is important for us. Conversion is important. Health reform is important. True Sabbath keeping, true worship is important. and knowing and keeping like-minded friends and associates. Yes, brothers and sisters. By the way, I'll close. Isaiah. I have to run, brothers and sisters. Isaiah chapter 9 speaks of God's true order. If there is coming a new world order, there must have been a former order. And since the new world order is satanic, and Satan loves to counterfeit what God does. So what is God's order of government? Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6, for unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder. His name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Verse 7, of the increase of his government upon his shoulder, the government and peace, there shall be no end. Upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom, to order it, and to establish it with judgment even forever. God's government has an order, an orderly government, but now a new world order in the world's governments. Look at the genuine. Verse 6 of Isaiah chapter 9, it says the government shall be upon his shoulder. The priest in Bible times carried something on their shoulder. What was that? The Ark of the Covenant. And what was in that Ark of the Covenant? The 2 tables, the 10 commandments. That's it, my friends. And what is Satan's plan? The papist's plan to overthrow God's 10 commandments. Daniel 7:25, Revelation 12:7 through 9, 12 and 17, Matthew chapter 4, verse 8, verse 10. That's it, brothers and sisters. The new world order. In God's original, the genuine, it calls God the Father, the Prince of Peace. The counterfeit. What do they call the Pope? Papa. The counterfeit father. The man of peace. The counterfeit man of peace. And by peace shall he destroy many. That's it. And verse number 7 of Isaiah 9. I'm going to close it right there. The government of peace is the true order. And what brings peace? God's commandments. Jesus says, no peace, saith my God, to the wicked. By God's grace, my friends, we will resume tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. for midday power surge. Let's remain faithful, brothers and sisters. Maranatha, the Lord is on his way, and the protest continues.